that a poignant piece of music began to form in his mind. Unable to forget the tune, Nigel Everett of Colchester turned it into a powerful composition called Remembrance. Liz Mullen has been hearing about this unusual story.
It was during visits in 1994 to the 50th commemorations in Holland for the battle at Arnhem, and I visited Oosterbeek Cemetery, where there's some 1,700 of our British and Polish troops are buried. And it was a fairly dark, dingy morning, I remember that, and raining. And I walked around, there's hardly anybody in the cemetery, and for no apparent reason I just found myself standing in front of one of the particular gravestones. And at the base of the gravestone there were the words, "May the sunshine he missed on life's highway be found in God's haven of rest." Those words are quite moving anyway. And for no apparent reason, this particular piece of music just started to come to me.
So you were sort of humming it away to yourself in your brain?
Absolutely.
How could you manage to get it all down in time before you forgot it?
Well, I can't really explain that. It just stayed there. But it was then when I returned back to England following this trip that I played more of it on the piano and made more of it, you see. I'm pretty poor at reading music, but I still play the piano by ear.
And then your friend here, Tony Mills, put the words to it.
Well, I've known Nigel for a lot of years, and he rang me and said that he'd written this piece of music, but he couldn't put any words to it, and he knows that I write a lot of poems and songs. He actually recorded this tune onto a cassette tape, so I tell you how long ago it was. Within half an hour I'd written the words to it. I think I have made it different to others. Everybody says that it's very moving, very poignant. I get lots of feedback.
Through other friends, because of my lack of direct musical knowledge, I approached one or two other people to help arrange it for and correctly for organ and piano.
Now, the piece of music has been played by a police band in the Netherlands and at memorials in Essex. It has actually had a good outing or two.
It was performed in the summer by the Band of the Bugles and Rifles in London at the Guards Chapel. About 500 people there, and it sounded really beautiful. We had a standing ovation, so it was really quite poignant for us as well.
Are we going to see it again at all locally at this time of year? Is there anywhere you know of?
Yes, you can hear it at Mistley Church on the 11th. The choir will actually be singing it on that particular evening.
Now we need to talk about the gentleman whose grave it was. What was his name?
His name was Private Alfred Guthrie.
Eventually you thought you really ought to give him some thanks by finding out who he actually was.
Absolutely, and it's many years since 1994 this came about. Literally 3 years ago this started, and that's through a friend, Chris Stansfield, who did some research through the internet and from other genealogical sources. We knew this guy was married at the time of his death, but we knew very little about him. I found out he came from Newcastle.
So you visited his family?
Well, we first found them through various means, and we found that his niece was still living. This Alfred Guthrie had a twin brother, and after the war his wife married the twin brother, and it's the twin brother's daughter we're talking about now. We did actually take the niece back to Holland 2 years ago when she paid her respects to her uncle's grave.
So a kind of lasting friendship between the families?
Yes, we keep in contact.
When you were talking to the family, you discovered an almost spooky coincidence in a way.
Yes, he left his home in Newcastle to join his airborne troops before they set off by Dakota on the 18th of September 1944. But as he walked down the garden path, he was whistling Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And that's just coincidence, because I play a bit of piano for old folks' homes and such like, and a bit of organ for that, and we have a sing-along sometimes. And I always finish with Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Well, thank you both of you for coming in and telling this extraordinary story. We've been listening to some of that music underneath our conversation, and it really is very haunting, so congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.